If your enemy wore a mask, you'd fight back fast. But what if the real enemy hides in people, even in you? You ever walk into a room and feel something heavy in the air? Not fear, not sadness, just pressure, a tension you can't explain, a sudden outburst from someone you didn't expect, or worse, a silence that feels louder than shouting. It's not always just emotions. It's not always just personality. Sometimes there's something deeper, something darker, something spiritual. If you've walked with God long enough, you know what I'm talking about. We're not just dealing with people. We're dealing with what works through people. The Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and unseen forces. That means your fight isn't with your spouse, not with your co-worker, not with your neighbor, not even with that person on the internet who won't let it go. You're not fighting people. You're fighting what's influencing them. And those spirits, they don't show up with horns. They show up in conversations, in that small offense, that sharp tone, that look that cuts too deep. They twist truth. They spark fear, and they speak through people, often people who don't even realize they're being used. But this isn't a message about fear. This is about clarity. This is about authority, because if you belong to God, you carry real spiritual authority. You are not at the mercy of whatever mood walks into the room. You're not helpless. You've been given the power to shift the atmosphere, not through pride or arguments, but through truth, prayer, and peace. So how do you do it? First, recognize the real enemy. As long as you think the problem is a person, the enemy wins. Because the moment you fight in the flesh, you've stepped out of your spiritual power. And the flesh never beats the devil. Jesus knew this. When Peter tried to stop him from fulfilling God's plan, Jesus didn't say, "Don't be dramatic." He said, "Get behind me, Satan." Not because Peter was Satan, but because Peter's words, in that moment, were influenced by something that opposed the will of God. That's deep, because it means someone can love you and still be used to distract you. They don't even have to know it. The enemy can use timing, tone, even kindness twisted in the wrong moment to throw you off. So what do? You pray for discernment. You stop reacting to behavior and start responding in the Spirit, because when you see clearly, you stop wasting time swinging at shadows, and you start moving with authority. Second, guard your spirit. You can't silence anything around you if you haven't silenced the chaos inside you. The enemy doesn't just look for weakness in others. He looks for cracks in you, unforgiveness, bitterness, tiredness, even spiritual laziness. That's why the Bible says, put on the full armor of God. Not when you feel attacked, but always. Because this is not a one-day battle. It's a lifestyle. Jesus showed us how. Before every big moment, he stepped away to pray. Not because he was afraid, but because he was aligning with the Father. That's where real strength is born, in the secret place, in the quiet moments. That's where your authority grows. So before you try to silence the storm around you, ask, is there a storm in me? Because if you're filled with frustration, offense, or pride, you can't carry peace into the room. And peace is what makes darkness tremble. Third, speak with authority, not emotion. When Jesus faced demons, he didn't yell, he didn't argue, he just said, "Come out," and they did. But us? We get emotional, we yell, we let offense take over. And in doing so, we trade power for noise. Emotions aren't bad, but they're not meant to lead. The Bible says, be slow to speak, slow to anger. Why? Because anger doesn't produce the righteousness of God. Real authority is quiet, not weak, just steady. It doesn't need volume, it needs alignment. So stay rooted in truth. Stay connected to God. Speak when the Spirit leads, not when your feelings rise. And sometimes, the strongest move isn't a speech. It's a silent prayer that shakes the atmosphere. Fourth, love as your weapon. That's right. Love. The enemy feeds on division, on hate, on bitterness, on revenge. But love, real love, it starves those spirits. Jesus never hated people under demonic influence. He separated the person from the oppression. He spoke with compassion and cast the spirit out. When someone is being used to create strife in your life, your natural instinct is to push back, to fight, to cut them off. But love takes a higher road. Love sets boundaries without bitterness. Love rebukes darkness without shaming the person. Love believes God can still redeem them, even when it looks impossible. And sometimes, love is the only thing that breaks the chain. Fifth, some battles need prayer and fasting. There are moments when regular prayers won't break what's been built. There are spirits that will not leave just because you quote a verse. You need to go deeper. Jesus said, "This kind comes out only by prayer and fasting." Prayer is more than words. It's confrontation in the spirit. It's intercession on behalf of those who don't even know they're in bondage. It's standing in the gap when they can't. Fasting sharpens your spirit. It silences your flesh. It removes distractions and heightens your hearing. It's your way of saying, "God, I need you more than I need comfort." Some breakthroughs don't come quickly, but if you keep pressing, the chains will break. And sometimes while you're praying for them, God is preparing you for the answer. Sixth, build an atmosphere where darkness can't stay. You don't always have to cast things out. Sometimes you just need to create a space where they can't breathe. What kind of music plays in your home? What conversations happen there? What spirit fills the walls? You don't have to be extreme, just intentional. Fill your space with prayer. Let worship be normal. Let truth be spoken. Let peace be present. Because when your home becomes a sanctuary, darkness loses access. And last, know when to walk away. You're not called to save everyone. You're not responsible for their choices. There comes a moment when staying becomes disobedience. Even Jesus walked away from places where faith was rejected. He told his disciples, "If they don't listen, shake the dust off your feet." That's not hate. That's trust. Some of you are exhausted not because the battle is too big, but because you're fighting one you were never called to stay in. Love them. Pray for them. But let God be God. Release the weight. Protect your peace. And rest in the fact that you planted the seed. You're not called to fight people. You're called to fight for them. But the fight is spiritual, and it's already been won. So walk in authority, stay in love, be clear, be anchored, and watch what happens when you stop reacting emotionally and start responding spiritually. You're not powerless. You're equipped, and you're more dangerous to the enemy